Do you want a green card to live in the United States legally? Today, I'm giving you 6 tips, which I wish every couple knew before going through the process of obtaining a green card through marriage. When you are in a situation where you just got married and you want to present your application to USCIS, there's 6 things that I want you to remember. Whether you just got married, you're already in the middle of the process, or you've been waiting, you've already submitted your application, and you're wondering what went wrong, these tips are going to help you. Stay with me, because tip number 5 is one of the most important tips, and people find out this tip when it's too late, and it's the one that will protect you. I am Carlene. I'm an immigration attorney, and I'm been practicing immigration law for 35 years, and I want to help you with your case. If you have questions that you would like to ask us, go ahead and submit them here, and we will be able to help you to answer those questions. I've helped hundreds of families navigate through the marriage green card process. I've seen what works. I've seen what destroys perfectly valid cases. So we're going to talk about the documents that most people forget. We're going to talk about the interview and the mistakes that people can make, and also the red flags that immigration is alerted to. We're also going to talk about the financial traps that couples fall into and what to do when things don't go according to your plans. Okay, and most important tip, the one that's at the end of the list, is the one that I'm going to say for clients who have already been through the process and maybe they have a denial or they have an RFE and they're trying to figure out how to answer that RFE. If you're watching, remember, just type your question in the chat right now. Tell me where you're from and what situation you're in. And if you're watching this replay, welcome. Everything you're about to hear still applies. The lessons that I'm going to give you, number 1, start building your paper trail from the very first day. You may say, well, from the very first day, yes. I know that no one wants to think about building a paper trail from the very first time that they go out on a date. Nobody's thinking about immigration when they're falling in love. But remember, from the very first day, you need to build a paper trail. Now, nobody is probably taking a photo thinking, oh, gee, I want this for immigration. I need to say this for USCIS. But here's the thing. By the time you're filing, USCIS is going to ask you to prove that your marriage is real. And they don't just want your word for it. They want evidence. And here's what people don't realize. A marriage green card case is not just about being married. It's about proving your life together. We're talking about photos together over time, different settings, different events, different years, joint bank accounts, leases, lease agreements. Maybe you have a mortgage together. All of this is very important, very, very important for immigration. And also, don't forget the insurance. If you have insurance together, like auto insurance, health insurance, maybe you have a cell phone plan, you have utility bills. All of these are very important. The more you build over time, the stronger your case is going to be. And the earlier you start, the easier is it. I have a client. Her name is Louisa. She was married for years, and by the time she came to see me, 4 years later, she had a child, she had a home, they had a dog together, but they didn't have any papers together. The emails were lost or deleted in an old phone. The photos were scattered all over the place, and her name wasn't even on the lease. They didn't think that it was important. So we had to recreate all her information, all her documents from zero. Don't be like that. Start now. The second tip I want to give you is file the right forms and double check everything. The number one sometimes mistakes that people make in filing the forms is that they don't fill it out correctly. Maybe they forgot to fill out one area. Sometimes there's a page that's missing. The wrong form, the wrong page, a question left blank. All of these inconsistencies can cause you to get a denial from immigration. And then Sometimes people present the documents, they're not good copies. Immigration doesn't appreciate sloppy paperwork. Even if your marriage is completely legitimate, a disorganized or incorrect application sends a signal to immigration that you don't take this seriously. Okay, and an officer will notice. So if you're applying while you are in the United States, remember you need to file Form I-130 and I-485. If you're going to be doing your residence outside of the country with the embassy, remember that you need to do your process through the National Visa Center, and there are certain forms that you need to fill out. You have to do a waiver. The forms are different, the timelines are different, and the fees are different. So be careful. Remember, if you're in the United States, one set of forms are pertinent. If you're outside of the United States, there's another set of forms. So you need to know the path that you're on and don't make a mistake. Tip number 3 is the affidavit of support, Form I-864. Now, many people are surprised with this form that this is important. The next time that you're filing your application or when you're about to file your application with immigration, be sure, be very sure that the sponsor or the petitioner qualifies according to immigration, according to the laws of immigration. The U.S. citizen or the lawful permanent resident who is the sponsoring spouse or the petitioner must show that they earn enough money to financially support the family. The current threshold is roughly 125% of the federal poverty guidelines for your household size. Now, if you don't know how to calculate that, you need to ask an immigration attorney to help you to do the calculation. This is where couples sometimes run into problems. If the petitioner doesn't have enough money, what should you do? Well, then you need to look for a co-sponsor. And the co-sponsor or the joint sponsor, as it's sometimes called, is someone who agrees to share the financial responsibility for the family, for the spouse. So you need to show that the co-sponsor has enough income. So you need to see the income tax. And the co-sponsor needs to be someone who's legal in the United States. Then you need to review the documents and to make sure that the co-sponsor qualifies to sponsor, to help to financially maintain the family. Tip number 4, make sure you prepare well for your interview. It's like having the most important meeting of your life. This tip is so important that I want you to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Prepare very, very carefully for your marriage interview. It's not like you need to memorize every single thing, okay? But you need to be prepared. Let me tell you about a couple that we had in the office, Danielle and Sophia. They had been together for 6 years. They were genuinely in love. They had kids. They had a dog. They had a mortgage. So by any reasonable measure, they should have been approved. But at the interview, they panicked. The officer separated them and asked questions that they didn't expect. What side of the bed does your spouse sleep on? Well, what did you have for breakfast this morning? What time does your spouse usually get home from work? Danielle froze. Sophia she answered differently to the same questions. And Danielle, of course, was so nervous that he didn't remember all the questions. So the officer issued a document that's called a request for evidence, asking for more information. So most lawyers won't tell you this, but the interview is not just about your documents. It's about your story. It's about the story of your life. And the officer is trained to spot inconsistency. So before every interview, know the basics of your life together. Know what your daily routine is. Know what the time your children go to school, what time they get home, the name of the school. Okay, I'm not saying to memorize a script, but you need to remind each other what the answers should be, because the interview is a conversation, and confident, consistent answers, even imperfect ones, can tell a story of a real relationship. Tip number 5. This is very important as well. Be sure that you're not inadmissible before you go to an interview, or even before you file your documents, your application with immigration. What does that mean when you say you're inadmissible? Inadmissibility means probably you had a criminal record before and you forgot about it. Maybe you had a ticket for speeding or a ticket for DUI, Or maybe you have an order of deportation that you forgot about, or you didn't know you had an order of deportation. So you can go to an interview, everything is in perfect order, the application is in order, the marriage is in order, your documents are in order, you answer the questions correctly, but immigration still denies the case. Why? Because you are inadmissible, because you didn't resolve your issues, your inadmissibility issues. Inadmissibility with an order of deportation, inadmissibility because you had a ticket, you have a record, a criminal record. Then, if you have all these things in order, but those few things can cause immigration to deny your case. That is why you need an attorney to review your documents. Because if you have certain inadmissibilities, a waiver is in order. You may be able to file a waiver with your application to resolve the issue. So I want you to make sure that before you file your application for your residence, that you understand these issues. This is very important. And if you have anything in your past, make sure you contact an attorney so that your attorney can review everything and tell you what waivers are important and what waivers you can file. This is not a time to guess. This is a time that you need to prepare very well for your interview. Number 6, I want to tell you, don't try to do this by yourself. Go with an attorney who understands you, understands your case, and an experienced immigration attorney will be able to review everything and help you. So preparing you for the documents, preparing you for the interview, preparing you for a waiver if you need a waiver, and making sure that if you're inadmissible, what waivers will apply. Making sure, an attorney also will make sure that the affidavit of support is done correctly, will also tell you whether you qualify or not as a sponsor, and also will tell you if you need a co-sponsor. This is all important. If you or you know someone who needs help, don't delay. We're here to help you. Send us an email and let us know how you're doing, and whatever help you may need, we can help you.